Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to our continuing coverage of PSIfest 2023 from Charlottesville, Virginia. We have with us right now Michael Green. He actually runs the bookstore here, and you've been running the bookstore for this event for years and years.
Since 2002, Chris.
Wow, and you travel all around doing bookstores for various different events, but the one reason I wanted to have you on is, we always have great side conversations while things are in session, stuff like that, but you've been working with this community of people for years. You've seen this event grow. You've seen the community grow. You've done some remote viewing yourself. I know you've taken part in a few of the activities here. Tell us how you got involved with this association, Michael.
I actually was connected to this through a publishing firm that's local. Years ago when I first came to Charlottesville, I was taking my son to Sunday school. One of the principals of Hampton Roads Publishing's child was in the same, I don't think they were the same class, a year or two difference, but, attending these Sunday morning events before the Sunday school began.
Sure.
And Bob Freeman and I'd go out and have a cup of coffee. We'd chat. I discovered what he did for a living. I said, what a coincidence. I'm in the book business. I kind of fell into that in 1996. I brought some books to the Arizona State Bar Convention. I was a former attorney out of Tucson. And I had accumulated a number of collectible law materials. When I went to law school, there were a couple of classes I wanted to take that were in the catalog that just never happened. Law and literature, law and art, history of law were things, like I say, they were in the catalog. I thought, as electives, these are things I'm looking forward to taking. And just for one reason or other, they just never happened. One instructor left, another one on sabbatical,
Yeah, so didn't get approved for curricula next year, what have you.
So it's kind of like if I wanted to take a fourth year, I could pick most of the stuff up. So I started reading in those areas, just my own on the side, and accumulated a number of books I liked, and sometimes extra. I actually wound up with my own law office, a building I bought, kind of a fluke. I fell into that, and I wanted to decorate. And I'm going, I'm not going to put up an abstract or some other thing. I want something related to law. So I started looking for art material that had of a legal nature. Okay. A great trial or something of that nature. It turned out I had a
trial sketches, things like that.
And I had a friend that was actually a printmaker in the Tucson area that was doing that stuff for Lex Law. And at the time, I didn't know it.
Oh, wow.
But we're having a conversation. Next thing I know, I have some of that. So I accumulated some extra things. And by 1996, so 15 years into the practice, more or less, I decided I had so much of this stuff. I'm going to take it to the state bar and sell it.
Yeah, set up a booth.
Right? I had enough CLE for the year exactly. What's going to happen? In Morris Dees, the Southern Poverty Law Center, was a speaker. At the last minute, I'm thinking, maybe I could do a book sale. I call his office. No, we don't do that. His office has been blown up twice, the house once. His wife's left him. We don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Okay? So, but the last minute, I said, what the hell? So I ordered like 48 copies of his book. And it shows up. He walks through to speak at the luncheon, takes a look, said, are you the guy that called us? Yes, sir. You're an attorney? Yeah. I said, well, I'll sign your books. And, he was done speaking. The books kind of just disappear right off the shelf. So that was kind of my first entree into working an author event or a conference.
Yeah.
And next year, I don't mean to beleaguer it, but Ralph Nader was showing up. I was asked by one of my friends. We were in a trial together, waiting for a verdict. We're in a bar on a Friday afternoon. He said, hey, Michael. And his name was Michael, too. I said, yeah. He said, hey, Ralph Nader's coming in June. Why don't you do another book sale? Yeah, why not, Ralph Nader? And so he gave me some information. I made a couple of phone calls. Next thing I know, Ralph will sign your books. So I worked with Ralph Nader, who, and this is kind of funny. I'll have to relay this one. So I do this event I introduced myself to Ralph. He's at a panel. I told him where I was set up, if he'd care to pre-sign some books before he speaks to the group at lunch.
Sure.
That'd be cool. He said, he's happy to do that. Comes out after lunch, sticks around, and he says, how long you been doing this? I don't wear a watch. I gave it up when I got out of the Navy. I said, I don't know, about 2.5, 3 hours. He starts laughing. He says, best goddamn book sale I've ever been to in my life. And he leaves. He said, I will call you Monday. All right. So Monday rolls up. Ralph Nader's going to call me, right? Monday rolls around. And I never got a phone call. And then I get a fax at 5 o'clock Mr. Green, Mr. Nader's been trying to reach you all afternoon. So I go, Michelle. Yeah, Michael. I said, Ralph Nader called here today. He says, oh, your friend Chet Ross has called here 3 times looking to talk to you. So it was Ralph Nader calling, and she thought it was my buddy.
Pretending to be Ralph Nader.
Right.
Yeah.
Ralph Nader.
Yeah.
So one thing follows another. So I'm talking to Bob Friedman, and I'm told I've been doing this events mostly with Nader and people that he knows, and so I'm working multiple events, and we're talking. He said, well, I'm a publisher, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, if you want some office space, we have extra office space. You can just take an office for free. Oh. So I kind of located my office, if you will. I didn't have much into their building, Hampton Roads Publishing. Well, Hampton Roads published a lot of Charles Tarrick's work, Putoff's work, a number of the remote viewers. So, I was kind of coincidentally exposed to these titles. And then in 2002, Bob or someone else from the firm approached me and said, hey, there's a remote viewing event in Austin, Texas. Why don't you go down and work that event? They don't have a bookseller. So I said, okay. So that was how I actually walked in the door at a remote viewing conference 2002. To my knowledge, I've worked every concept they had since then. Hey, this is a great group of people. I've got to meet, Lynn Buchanan, Skip Atwater, and McMonagle, and on and on and on and on.
Hang out with Ingo Swan, all kinds of
Ingo,
things.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I wanted to have you on, because once again, until you get involved with these communities, in any of the para communities, and they're also individual. Like I was telling you earlier today, this is the one that I go to that has more people with letters behind their names than any other conference. And you would think maybe UFO UAP studies, there's some science there, this and that. No, it's remote viewing.
Exactly.
Like out of all of them, it's psychic work.
I agree. That's what I see.
And it's mind-blowing. And for you being involved in this community for this long, how have you seen the community grow?
Well, that's an interesting question, only for the fact that for a number of years, probably by 2010 or 2011, after I'd worked a number of these conferences, I'd said to them, what are you doing to attract the next generation of people? Because it was the same people. Oh, there'd be somebody who would show up, but it was not the majority. It'd be like, I might recognize out of 100 faces, I might recognize 85 or 90 people. Not that I know them well necessarily, but, hey, you're the bookseller. How you doing? How's your year been? That kind of thing. I'm going, where's the next generation? And there wasn't.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, how is it that you're not promoting yourselves in such a manner to attract all this? So this conference, kind of interesting. Of course, COVID's interfered the last 3 years. We've had conferences, but not one every year. We were in Menlo Park last year, Omega the year
for the
before,
50 year.
It seems to be the Vegas conference in 20 didn't happen. Okay. I remember Targ called me and said, Michael, I'm not going to Vegas. This is like 10 days out.
Yeah.
And then I got a call from mother, I'm not going either. And then the next thing you know, hey, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
At this conference, amazingly, there's about twice the numbers we'd had at recent conferences.
It's easily double, if not way more than last year.
Oh, I think so. I think definitely more than Menlo Park, although there
if not 3 times the size.
Yeah, there were some new faces.
Oh, sure.
Menlo, not
I
much,
was one
a couple
of them.
Omega, exactly. That's when we met. But this time around, they're up by a third, a half, 50% more, and they are younger.
Oh, we got
First
college age
conference
kids here.
Exactly.
We got mid-late 20s here, and it's great to see that. It's great to see this younger group wanting to carry on this work and wanting to get into this work and dig into it. And like you said, really carry it forward to the next generation. You don't have to necessarily be a scientist with letters behind your name to keep a journal, to contribute to the math of it, to contribute to the
data,
the overall data field.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what's really amazing and really awesome about this, is that as opposed to a lot of communities, Bigfoot, things like that, where sure you could have a picture, something along those lines. This is one of them where it is full-on quantifiable. Yeah. And you are actively adding datum to a set of data.
Absolutely.
That's being used.
It seems to me, one of the things I keep hearing repeated Lee, at the book table behind us is how many people came to this during COVID.
Yeah.
The amount of time they had.
Yeah, because of the
sitting
spare
around.
time, they finally had
Right.
the time to
And
explore it.
Explore, or somehow felt themselves drawn to new things.
Yeah.
And somehow these psychic phenomena, whether it be dreams, precognition, or
Yeah.
or stumble across something that could just kind of trip their interest
Yep.
to get involved, and here they are. I mean, and this is like a fair amount of people here, truly.
Oh no, this
Yeah.
is a good conference.
Yeah, this is
a good
great
conference.
Yeah,
I
And
know.
Of course, they connected with Monroe Institute, and that helps feed it. I think that's a great
Especially
idea.
being right here in the Monroe Institute's backyard.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
huge. It's awesome. It's been, I think, a great pairing, and I hope that they continue doing it.
Yeah, no, I
hope
think
they
it's good.
continue doing this conference together, because there's so many people in remote viewing use the work of Monroe Institute to begin their
Exactly,
sessions.
right.
You know, to get their brain focused and brain waves aligned into that pattern.
No question,
And
synergistic.
Now, you're also a yoga instructor.
I
Not
am.
that- now, in your yoga, do you use any of the field of remote viewing? Any of the
Well, you know,
practices of
there is one
getting
area-
into focus,
There
things
is
like
one
that?
area you can do that. Focus, yes. Okay, I am not an expert when it comes to yoga. I'm like a beginner. I have practiced this time around. I practiced years and years ago, but this time around, probably about my 13th or 14th year of having returned to the practice. And I did that for my own health reasons,
Yeah.
particularly rather than chasing samadhi or turiya, these states of unbridled consciousness.
Yeah.
And I did it for my physicality, just, sciatica, whatever. I teach primarily, but not exclusively, hatha yoga.
Okay.
Basic, well, very old technique, but very basic. Of course, all this has been westernized and modernized a little bit. We see it as stretching, physical activity, rather than the pursuit of this state of mind. If you read the Yoga Sutras, the second aphorism is basically Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. And my loose paraphrase with that would be that the intent or the purpose of yoga is to quiet the chattering of the mind. What's the first essential?
Yeah.
It's a remote view.
Yeah.
You have to quiet the mind. Frequently the same. Take a deep breath or take a couple of breaths to allow yourself to relax.
Yeah.
Clear the mind. My yoga practice, I don't know how many times during an hour and 50 minutes, hour and a half, I will bring people's attention back to their breath, putting a soft sound to it by constricting the throat, for instance, to get that what we call ujjayi or victory breath sound to it, is a focal point so your mind will not wander. It's tied to the breath and therefore and to the body. So yoga is the unity, mind, body, breath, basically. Yoga means yoke or union.
Yeah.
So that happens frequently. There is a branch of yoga which I am aware of, not overly adept at, but I've been playing with it a little bit, that turns out to be much older than I thought, and that is Yoga Nidra. Shows up in the Vedas real early on. I just discovered this. I knew about it, but in terms of how it evolved,
Okay.
I didn't know how old this is. Conscious sleep.
Interesting.
Nidra, sleep.
So basically,
yoga is
the
consciously-
idea of lucid dreaming.
Pretty much that. And what is it's a guided meditation. Or maybe you engage in some physical activity.
Sure.
Stretches, bends, folds, whatever, just to settle into ground. And then you assume essentially, in most instances, Shavasana, the corpse pose. But instead of relaxing, clearing the mind, I refer to the Beatles frequently at the end of a class when I put people in Shavasana, like close your eyes, turn off your mind, float away.
Yeah.
From the Beatles, right? Essentially. And assuming I'm quoting that correctly, but close enough. And but Yoga Nidra would be like a guided meditation that is illustrated, if you will, by the facilitator. Or it could be as simple, once you're in the position, envision yourself being on a beach. The sun is warm, but not necessarily hot on your body. The air is warm but not hot, so you're not laying there perspiring uncomfortably. You envision yourself in a comfortable place. You hear the sound of the surf lapping on the beach, and the way it recedes. Maybe you hear the crinkle of the sand as the water's washing back down. It could be you could be in the mountains. You could be doing anything, is basically the facilitator is narrating this visual for you, which you follow, is the practitioner. Research seems to indicate an hour of yoga nidra in terms of rest is equal to about 4 hours of sleep. There are studies and research done.
Wow.
And I am fascinated. The more I think about it, and I'm sitting here COVID, right? I should be adept at this. I have not been spending a lot of time with it, but I am convinced by October, November, I will be teaching yoga nidra.
Epic.
On a regular basis.
I was quite literally talking with Bob Monroe earlier from the Monroe Institute, and we were discussing the concept. I used to have, I still have, my Voyager XL. They used to sell it at like Blackstone.
All right.
Like you could get it in like the Air Mall catalog. And it was a pair of glasses with lights that did the same, were flashing at the same rate.
I've seen purple on your fingertips.
Yeah. They flashed at the same rate that the binaural beats were going. So you got double stimulation. And one of the programs that it had in it was the 15-minute nap. Where in 15 minutes, it took you from an active brain state down to a deep delta, theta range, and then back up. So you got the equivalent of an hour and a half of sleep in 15 minutes.
That sounds about right.
And it was like, wow, what an amazing power nap. And I've just started reusing it, where it's like,
that makes perfect
lay
sense.
down in my studio, use it again, and it's pretty remarkable.
Very remarkable.
And to say that yes, an hour of this equals 4 hours of that.
Roughly, yeah.
Once you because once again, you don't have the double stimulation going. You are getting your brain waves to that pattern through a state of meditation and through a state of discipline. So, to match those same brainwave patterns of getting 4 hours of sleep, absolutely.
No, it's
absolutely.
beautiful too. I mean, all right, so I said, the intent of yoga is quiet the chattering the mind. Come on, how difficult is it to not think? That is work.
It used to be so much easier for me to not think.
Okay, there you go. I mean, we think. That's what the mind likes to do.
It's what it loves to do.
And of course, when I occasionally get to a state where, I'm not thinking. Well, what did you just do? You just thought, you idiot. Right? Pop yourself
there
right out
that.
Exactly. There I was. But can I leave it alone? No. Well, but more and more, I'm able to achieve a little bit of that. I'm not going to say to anybody, I can sit there 10 minutes without having a thought. Wrong. Maybe 45 seconds. Yeah, on a good day. But it's amazing how much calmer I've become through time.
Sure.
And the not thinking hasn't seemed to affect my meditation or how quick I can react to something if I'm conversationally or engaged in something. And there's a real beauty to it. And of course, the intent and purpose of all this is kind of like, and yoga recognizes these altered states.
Yes.
But basically the notion being, samadhi is the 8th limb of yoga. In what they call Ashtanga yoga.
Okay.
And it's basically this stage where you've gone where the mind is quiet and you're tapping into this consciousness, maybe getting to what we would call the true self, not the ego self.
Sure.
Where your experience is transcendent. And above that, if you look at the Om sign, the little dot above the curly line, below the three normal states of consciousness, wakefulness, dreamless sleep, and dream state, and dreamless sleep, is Turiya, which is that unbridled consciousness. So I first started screwing around with yoga, and I'm not pursuing this. My life is not dedicated to pursuing samadhi or Turiya. My attitude is, hey, I stumble into it. Okay,
cool.
I'm not going to spend 12 hours a day, every breathing moment, pursuing this. That's just is not that significant to me, and I'm not denying the existence of this.
Yeah.
What a blessing if it should
It's
hit me
just
in the
not
side
the
of the
level
head.
that you desire to go.
That's not where I am.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm free to make that choice, whether it's intelligent choice or not. But it's out there. You can touch it. It's palpable.
It's there.
You can experience that.
And that's just it. Ancient cultures followed this for
Eons.
Yeah, when you start looking at the teachings of yoga, it follows right along with the teachings of Kabbalah, like almost hand in hand. It's remarkable, especially when you start looking at the chakras and the tree of life.
Exactly, right.
Like it is almost verbatim the same. It is a roadmap to consciousness and to yourself. And here recently, I was telling you about the person who was listening to my meditation album and was like, I don't know what happened. Like, I started having all these, like, a base emotional response.
Right.
And he's like, I'm a yoga instructor. I don't understand, like, why this affected my root chakra in this way. And I was like, well, you know, your root chakra is emotion. That's all it is base emotion.
Like I said,
so,
what's the guy holding on to?
Yeah. And that's exactly what I told him in the email in response is like, it seems like maybe you just tilled over something in your garden.
Right. That's,
you know,
that's the word you use.
It's still there. You were weeding and everything, and you just put some dirt over it, you know, and go back and explore yourself.
Yeah.
All that tells me is that the binaural beats rang the bell.
Right.
Like, it hit your root chakra.
Exactly.
Like, and that's awesome. That's great feedback for me to hear. But here lately, I've had a couple of people, and I was telling this to Bob earlier, that I finally found that small range of people that binaural beats just wogs their head, just makes their brain like
ring.
Like yeah. And it's the fact that, like, because binaural beats work with an offset frequency. You put a frequency on one side, a frequency on the other, and your brain divides and says, like, okay, well, here's the remainder.
Right.
And that's the target frequency that you're trying to work on. But some brains don't like producing that third frequency, and it kind of wigs them out. And I finally found a couple people like that. Most everybody I know that's ever tried binaural beats, after a few sessions, like, they're like, wow, yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's relaxing.
Yeah. Like, I definitely got to sleep a whole lot faster last night. You know, I definitely felt more relaxed when I woke up this morning. Things like that. So, and even the fact of using binaural beats, using meditation to get yourself to that state. Because, yeah, you can definitely use binaural beats to start creating the brainwave frequencies that go to astral projection, that go to these other realms that yoga will take you through years of practice. And I'm not saying don't practice yoga. That is a beautiful discipline.
Absolutely.
But it's a discipline.
It is.
And it's one of those, like, you got to do your work. You got to do your work. You got to keep doing your work.
The beauty of yoga, obviously, especially in our culture, is you don't have to take it there.
Yeah.
You can just get the fundamental health benefits of moving the body.
Yeah.
Detoxing by exhaling, fully, inhaling, bringing the oxygen to the body, generating some prana or chi, call it what you will.
Sure.
The physical movement. Hey, if you're stiff and sedentary and not moving, lost your flexibility, yoga is going to assist you whether or not you're interested in acquiring the chattering of the mind and reaching a higher level of consciousness or not. Proven good for fighting depression, reducing anxiety, overall body health. I mean, on and on. And maybe, again, not like some things, maybe not for everybody, but nonetheless, what comes out of that through time, whether you like it or not, to pursue it, is you start developing a slightly different sensibility.
A different core. A different core.
And, somehow there becomes, like, not a religious, but maybe, for lack of a better term, a spiritual component to that.
Yeah.
It translates if you get in a conversation. It's like, people are having these experiences.
And that's just it. It starts changing your brain waves. It starts changing the way you think. It starts changing the way that it's kind of the idea, and I hate to use this analogy, but it's kind of the idea of the junkie starts getting high during preparation.
There you go, anticipation.
The dopamine starts releasing before they ever inject. The anticipation of it starts getting them high. And it gets that way eventually with things like yoga, karate, anything like that is disciplining you in a certain way toward a certain goal. And once you start your means of preparation, you'll start slipping into that mindset faster and faster each time.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. By the way, Ian, it's just like a one-off. Are you familiar with Steve Halpern's music?
Offhand, no, I'm not.
So Stephen Halpern, and I may be wrong on this, is considered like kind of the godfather of New Age music.
Okay.
So he's played a lot with Delta.
All right.
There's a number of albums. He has an album called The Om Sound out. He's Drum Spirit's another one.
I have actually heard Drum Spirit. I didn't know who made it.
Of albums.
All right.
Just coincidentally, because that's kind of what his goal is with a lot of this music,
Yeah.
to take you to those vibrational
Yeah,
states.
absolutely. And
through
and
the
when
sound.
you look at things like tribal drumming, stuff like
Right.
that, the beat of it is
Yeah, exactly.
is
The medicine-
right.
the medicine beat.
It's
Right. The heartbeat.
it's right there at heartbeat level. It's right there at Schumann resonance. It's
Exactly.
ground yourself, get ready. And it's really interesting to see that because once again, our ancient cultures knew about this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
long ago.
Long ago.
And even one of the albums I'm working on right now, Within the Rocks, kind of deals with the fact of are the similar images that we see in petroglyphs across the globe, representations of water, things like that. When you start looking at some of these, they look like straight up square waves, saw waves, sine waves.
Yeah,
so
right.
is it
Yeah,
the fact
no,
of
yeah, I agree with
when these people were there, were they synesthetic in drawing what they were hearing or feeling?
Right.
Or feeling. And when I take some of these images and kind of trace over them in Photoshop and then reverse it and put it through an algorithm, the sounds that come out are wild.
Ooh.
Wild.
All right, I like that. That I'm going to have to experience. Okay,
But it's one of those, like, even when you go to ancient sites, Malta. Malta is a prime example. There is a chamber there that actively resonates in the theta range.
Okay.
It starts peaking theta waves in your brain when you start chanting in there. The resonance of the room presents those waves to your brain. Same thing with Stonehenge. Stonehenge was built to amplify sound inside of it. They knew about these things so long. Ancient Greece, Epidaurus, you can light a match on the floor and hear it 300 feet up top.
And you're wondering, yeah.
What is
what is it they knew that we refuse
we
to
use
acknowledge or don't learn?
$100,000 sound systems to do that.
Replicate that. Right, yeah, I get it. It is amazing how much was known.
Yeah.
Mostly passed by oral tradition, obviously. I mean, the Vedas just didn't happen one afternoon.
No.
That's, carrying forward history. The Bible didn't happen in an afternoon.
That's it.
Well, you got 1,000 years, 800 years more before it gets reduced to a Torah.
Wasn't even written down till 60, 70 years after Christ's death, the first things.
Yeah, right.
Because they were expecting the parousia. They expected the second coming within their lifetime. And once they hit 70 and they were like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
right.
do me a favor. Just start writing this down while I talk.
How much tradition, and things clearly probably changed from generation to generation. I don't know that, or I do or do not know that. You don't know if things were verbatim for 1,000 years, and that was the training, and conceivable to me it would have been.
Yeah.
And it's also conceivable to know. It's like playing telephone. Sorry.
Yeah. Absolutely. The message gets corrupted down the line
quite possibly.
eventually, and it does not take long.
Right.
It doesn't take long.
But you
if the care for preservation isn't there. I mean, there are absolute cultures, Native Americans, one of them, where most of their stories are not written down. They are passed down orally unchanged. Go to the Aboriginal people. They're talking right now about that possibly being unchanged for almost 10,000 years.
Exactly. So that's possible.
That their oral history has not been unchanged.
It is right.
That is remarkable. That is amazing to think about. And when you start thinking about the knowledge that these people had, one of the things I talk about on the show regularly, Mike, is the fact that even 100 years ago, not even 100, I'm almost 50, my grandparents' age, like my grandparents grew up in a time in Louisiana where they still had horses.
Oh, I remember that from childhood, actually.
Like,
horse carts in the streets of
Yeah,
Cleveland,
man. Yeah.
picking up garments.
Yeah,
Swear
absolutely.
to God, trash.
Yeah, and not even 100 years ago, there were still many parts of our country where when the sun went down, unless you had a fat lamp or an oil lamp, it's night, son.
Nighttime, you're going to sleep.
It's night. We were connected to our world in a different way than we are now. Life was slower than it is now.
Sure.
The intake of information and the wear down on our brain to be connected to this thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm connected to the entire planet right now if I want to be. Where the hell is my phone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Hold on. Let me put that on Facebook. That's a good hashtag. Precisely. And, it affects so many things. When you start, just to bring up Kabbalah again, the fact that words are sacred. Words are vibration.
Right, they're vibrational.
Like this is where the whole concept of
vibrational.
Absolutely. Sanskrit is a sacred spoken language.
Yeah.
And
vibrational.
Yeah, Absolutely. These words have power, so be careful how you use them.
Exactly right.
You know, and that's why the whole witch's threefold rule exists. Like, yeah, go ahead and curse somebody. It'll come back to you three
Exactly
times
right.
more. You better be doing some good with your work and your words, you know? And we have to do that. Our brain regularly, man, lives in this state of negativity in this world around us.
Look how much
We're in a constant state of didactic, A versus B, red versus blue, infrared, ultraviolet mentalities.
Well, look how much is
clashing.
out there that threatens you.
Yeah.
Disrupts
Yeah.
what might be otherwise some peace of mind. Although we form societies theoretically so we can be safe, that we can invest trust in each other.
Sure.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
What are the, I'm not going to elucidate them. I don't know them all. The things you need for fundamental society, so you have some kind of level of comfort that you can turn your back
Yeah.
and not get a knife in it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That that your word could be a bond. That people have a common understanding of what binds them, right? What is
Yeah.
right? What is wrong? Morality, whatever it is, on a fundamental level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was quite literally the
we have
founding.
culture wars.
That was quite literally the founding of this show. And its original incarnation, Dudes and Beer, before I relabeled it, was the idea of America was built in a bar. And it was built by people who were lawyers, who were pig farmers, who were the mayor, who were the governor. They had different walks of life, different incomes, different political beliefs. But what they all did in that common bar was like, what's up with that? What are we mutually going to do about that?
Right.
And it didn't matter if you were one political party, they were the other. You shared a fence line. If they needed wood in the winter, you gave them wood. You needed food, we gave you food. We took care of each other because we shared a fence line, and we knew that we needed each other to live.
Yeah, and
we have been in numerous world wars. Not a single one of them have we killed more people than we did in our own Civil War, where we were fully willing to kill each other. And that's right at the vibrational level we are at right now as a society. And that's a precipice, man. We haven't been there as an American society in a long time. And we have to learn to slow down. We have to learn to think about that and about the long-reaching impact of that. The multi-generational impact.
Yeah, how is there not? All right, climate. Come on. When I was hanging out with Nader, late 90s, early 2000s, I mean, not that he hadn't been around before that, but, Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act, those were like Ralph Nader's things. One thing so we're going back to the 70s now. He was talking about, hey, they ought to put scrubbers on stacks to clean the air. Oh, that's going to cost too much money. He's going, well, it's going to cost something, but you're going to create jobs
doing it.
And
somebody's got to build the scrubbers.
You've got to keep, we want to keep the environment clean. I'm not saying he was the greatest environmentalist he ever had, but his vision was he could see this come in. He would tell you that, Rachel, I think he would say that Rachel Carson kind of got him going along that path, or enhanced his awareness with the DDT, et cetera, watching birds die, know. But come on. We are all collectively swimming in the same damn atmospheric ocean.
In the same water. In the same
water. And then, to get it, more precise, exactly, this is our planet,
Yeah.
I don't believe that God gave us, if you will, the earth gave mankind all these benefits to exploit. How about being a steward?
Yeah.
What is your obligation to your children?
Well,
to your grandchildren? Is many Native Americans or indigenous people would say to the seventh generation.
Exactly.
Well, if you were looking at the seventh generation, you'd find a hell of a lot more harmony. On this planet, you would find less threat to species, a little bit more awareness, that maybe a frog has a right to life, or, right?
Yeah.
Douglas, when he was on the Supreme Court, raised the question in a book, hypothetically, do trees have standing?
Yeah.
With the notion of, so reverence for it, if you will, that we respect the life of this tree. Forget about its consciousness, now we communicate between the roots as we're discovering and all that wonderful stuff. We are all interconnected, whether we like it or not.
That's right.
We are all interdependent upon each other. And interestingly enough, I think the majority of our environment is probably less dependent upon human beings for their own well-being.
Oh, it'll do fine without us.
Yeah, I think it'll
do
fine
great.
Through time. Huh?
We
Right?
are a blip on the life of the earth.
Yeah.
A blip.
A blip.
Blip.
I mean, dinosaurs didn't do themselves in.
No.
They had external help. All right. Well, maybe that inured to our benefit in the long run. How well it inured to the benefit of the planet, I have no clue.
Well,
Can't pretend to go there. But there is a certain sanctity or sacredness about life.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't care what you do or do not believe in. How is this thing not a miracle? Even if whether we are or not, the only life in the universe, right? I mean, look how fabulous all this is.
I don't care if
How
it was
amazing.
a grand creator or a lightning bolt in a puddle of ooze
Who
with
knows,
nitrogen
right?
and carbon in
Yeah.
it. Either one are just as miraculous.
It is miraculous. It is miraculous. So,
Wake up,
Well,
and
get woke, DeSantis. No,
Well,
wake up to, how miraculous it is. Your breath is miraculous. I mean,
Absolutely.
Again, going back to my yoga practice, we take it, breath, you take it for granted.
Our guest yesterday, talking about the diamond being that we are. There's no difference between carbon and diamond. They're the exact same thing. The only difference
What
is
are we?
time and
Carbon.
pressure.
Yeah,
we
right.
are carbon. We are
carbon.
exhaling carbon all the time, and every time we exhale it, we're putting our frequency out. And
exactly.
sending and polluting. I'm polluting your chakras with my frequency every
cut
time
that.
I exhale.
You cut that out.
Sorry.
Bastard. Put a filter on it.
But in all sincerity, I think when it comes to things like remote viewing, like you're saying, awareness, personal awareness, and that's what I think more than anything that I have seen amongst the community of remote viewers is that there is an awareness that they have of their place within the machine of the universe that I don't think another para group I am a part of or a member of or even sponsor a conference for has that root of like, wait a minute, there's something bigger going on here. And I mean, MUFON's something big too, don't get me wrong. But there is a different grounded connection to the universality with this group.
Interesting.
Than with anyone else that I've found.
I can't say that I've given that much thought or have come to a conclusion on that or, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
I just really haven't contemplated that. The vibration here is wonderful.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It wears me down.
I can see
literally,
that.
I am exhausted
it's
right now.
Because I keep telling you, you say, hey, come talk. I'm tired.
Yeah.
And it's not like anything's draining me. I don't
It's
feel
just
like
being
I'm
in the
zapped.
presence of all the last year
century.
at the International Association for Near-Death Studies. I've done shows in Colorado. I've done shows at higher altitudes than Salt Lake City.
Right.
I spent 2 days in the bed, like crazy migraine, nausea, the energy of all of those NDEs, of all those people who have come back and have been shifted. Ooh,
I imagine.
Man,
I can
talk about
imagine.
something that'll tickle your belly all day. It was wild, man. And once again, being here, that mental energy that is just exchanging all over the place is intense.
It is
It's intense.
And underlying this is like, when I first heard about remote viewing, yeah, right, okay, hey,
I remember when I first
I'll go
ordered the
sell
SRI videotape from listening to it on Art Bell, going, I don't know, man. Like I'd
give me
heard
a
Major
break,
Ed
right.
Dames, things like that, and I was like, yeah, okay, man, I'll order the videotape and see what it's about. And even then, I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But the more, and I was probably 20 years old when I found that and heard about it. I'm almost 50 now. I'll be 49 this year. The more I have delved into it, the more my mind opens, and the more it is blown by the data that is there.
The data is mind-boggling. The interesting thing is experientially, and I don't know if you've had the opportunity at one of these. I went to Paul Smith's pre-conference training. Introduction. To
Friday.
To remote viewing. Yeah, Friday night. Thursday night actually.
Yes, Thursday. Sorry.
So what the hell? I'm here. I'm living locally. No skin off my. I got to bring the books in anyhow, so I'll show up a little bit earlier. I even sell a book or two, you know. So I have participated in a number of these exercises over the years. Not every one of them. I've never taken formal training, although that is something, kind of like yoga nidra. I mean, to get around it pretty quickly here. It's getting late. I'm 76. But there's still time. But so last night I engaged in this thing. And I actually stepped out just before they were talking about how to focus on a target. So I missed the 6 or 7 minute introduction to that. I walk in, there's a cardboard box sitting on a podium. And I'm supposed to see what's in the box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Well, it can't be an automobile because the box isn't big enough unless it's a toy car. Okay.
1/10 scale.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm looking at this box. I got a piece of paper, and I've been to enough of these to understand that, I clear my mind and see what kind of impressions I have. And I got to watch out for the left side of the brain because it wants to describe things and
wants to jab away.
Right. So for me, this was kind of fun. So, I'm sitting there, all right, so I draw a line with a right angle. Of course, then I look at the box and, box is a rectangle. There's a line going down.
Line
top
going
to bottom,
over.
and there's a line going over. Huh? Real visual.
All right.
I got that one right. Well, that's not in the box.
The eyes are working.
Outside the box.
The eyes are working.
And I'm laughing at myself. Like, give me a break. Why am I even sitting here? And the next thing I know, right, clear the mind, Michael. Let it come to you. Right? What the hell is going to come to me? Come on. What am I going to project into the box is more like it. Is my fear. Okay? And then, of course, in this, you can't be afraid to fail. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so next thing I say, so I got this right angle. I have no idea what the hell that's all about. And I go like, gray. Do I see gray? No. I just kind of sense something that's gray. All right, write down gray, that's impression, then immediately orange. I'm going, well, that's got to be what they call overlay, just, again, the left side of the brain's going, right?
Yeah, let's go the opposite direction.
Get a little orange there. So I put down orange and I put a question mark behind it. I said overlay. All right, so I have no clue. And I'm laughing at myself, going, why are you even doing this? And then, okay, there's a spiral, not a circle. I didn't see a circle first. I see a spiral. Yeah, right. I like spirals, so I'm making some spirals on the paper. I'm going like, it's hard and it's soft. So then I'm going, it's crinkled paper. I'm a book sales guy, man. There are crinkled paper in all these boxes of books. That's how they pack it. So I kind of know.
Yeah, what spiral-bound book did I bring with me?
Right.
That's in my head right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going like, all right, I know it's not crinkled paper, unless there happens to be some crinkled paper in the box. But, right, isn't going to be that. And I come up, like I say, gray, orange, black, soft and hard. Next thing I know, I'm drawing another spiral. Now look, I'm drawing another spiral. What the hell is going on? What's with the spirals? Okay, one ought to cover it. And I think that's about as far as I got with it. The time's up. Opens up the box. It's a damn egg yolk separator. If you look at the picture that they also show on the screen and look down at it, there's a right angle. Damn, all right, the thing is silver, not gray. All right, close enough.
Gray's just not shiny silver.
Then I'm going as an aside, well, where'd the orange come from, fool, other than the color of the box? What's the color of an egg yolk when you break it open? And I'm sitting here still thinking, and
what's hard,
part of
what's
it was
soft?
real solid, but it's kind of like the separator part's kind of soft. It's flexible. I didn't write the word
even
flexible
the egg.
down. And then there's
even the egg, hard, soft.
Huh? Now, whether or not that's good remote viewing or not, I don't know.
I would say you definitely were in range.
They'd say they had some hits.
Yeah.
All right, but I could have just as easily imagined it was a box full of Cracker Jacks.
Or like I was saying, the spiral-bound book.
Right? When I came up with orange, next thing I'm doing is thinking, because I have this circle from the spiral, it's a glass of orange juice. I don't know how you have a glass of orange juice in the box, but that's besides the point. So at that point, my mind's wandering. But over the years, when I've done these various exercises, the amount of correlation from all the millions or hundreds of thousands of things that could be in a box or at a remote location that has been the target, how many of these things corresponded? I mean, there's billions of objects on it? I mean, right? You can go on and on and on forever. I am amazed and how much of this translates, and it seems to be, all right, once, kind of random, good luck. But without having any training, but just having done some of these exercises over 15 or 20 years, it's like, I don't save these things typically. Maybe I should. am amazed at how close I've sometimes come. I've never seen an egg beater in a box kind of. I've never, I know what that is. Never happened.
Yep.
But the types of things they come up with, and having met Ingo and spent time with him, and the remarkable things that he was able to demonstrate, which beat all the odds consistently, and all the other people, Glenn Wheaton, just names on and on and on and on. These things that people have seen remotely. Or this precognition, which tends to be, I tend to dream of things.
Same.
Not every night.
I build things that I see in my dream.
There you go. I have dreams, precognitive dreams. I know something and then get an affirmation of it. Day later, a week later, a month later, including one time I was at sea, had no contact with my family. I dreamt that my sister was pregnant and she lost the baby. And then the dream changed, and it was my sister-in-law. I had not talked to my family. I've been at sea. I've had no mail. I've no phone conversations. I get back to Los Angeles. I back to the West Coast, San Diego. A couple of days later, I think it was about a week. I called my brother. Hey, I'm going to come up and visit. Oh, dropping off there, huh?
There you go, bud.
Hey, gravity works. I remember this one clearly, and I went up to visit him. I didn't say a thing about this. Weird dream.
Yeah.
And we're having dinner. And I don't know, my brother asked me a question. And it was such a question that I said, I had a dream. And I looked at my sister. I dreamt you were pregnant and lost your child. And then the dream changed. Norma, you miscarried. Literally, someone dropped a utensil on the table. They had found out that week that my sister was pregnant and that my sister-in-law was pregnant and my sister-in-law miscarried.
Wow.
I'm in the middle of the damn Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, you got
Hawaii. Right. I hadn't communicated to anybody.
Yeah, you weren't getting mail by chopper about it.
If there wasn't some kind of comment made at dinner that kind of triggered that portion of the conversation, I would have never brought this up.
Wow.
And I'm not telling you I've had thousands of these dreams. I have not. I've had maybe a dozen. And I'm not alone. People all over the planet.
I've had numerous of them.
Billions
I used to have them about friends all the time.
Yeah, people will tell you they have these dreams. Where the hell is that coming from?
Yeah.
If there isn't that kind of connection out there, if this phenomenon is not genuine or real.
And when you look at, I know I brought it up numerous times in this episode, folks, but I'll bring it up again, non-local reality. We just won the Nobel Peace Prize for physics about quantum entanglement, the fact that particles, despite distance, can be entangled and influence each other. That is quite literally what this work was based on. Hal Puthoff's paper about how scientists going home and thinking about their lab work was affecting their lab work and affecting the experiments. That's what led to every bit of this, and every bit of that has been quantified. It's mind-numbing.
The entangled mind.
Man,
right? On and on. Exactly.
I've literally got to come and just max out a card at your library sometime, man.
Oh, please do.
Will you buy me dinner if I buy it all?
You can check in anytime you want. You just can't leave.
That's right.
Welcome to Hotel California.
That's it, buddy.
Yeah. Cool.
Man, it's always great seeing you. Always great having conversations with you for days on end. It was great meeting you last year. And the day before I came here, I was like, man, I really hope Mike's going to be there. That's going to be awesome if he is. So I've thoroughly enjoyed our time together.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Absolutely. Let everybody know where they can go to find your bookstore. Like, what events do you work? Things like that.
I don't really have a bookstore per se. My websites are not well maintained. I trade under the name of MREVAC, MREVAK.com, and that's kind of my general my trade name. I maintain a site that's not very well maintained at the moment called CannabisLibris.com. I work a number of cannabis conferences across the country. I sit on a board, a couple 501c3s. But I work at a variety of conferences. I'll be at, I believe I'll be at Cannabis Science East in Rhode Island in September.
Cool.
I will have been invited back for I don't know how many years. This has been, this is my longest running conference continuously, IRVA, as it turns out. I will be at the Council of Great City Schools in San Diego, which is, I think they may have expanded, but for years it was the, this is our 67th or 68th annual fall conference. So it's educators, administrators, people related to school systems, school boards from the 50th. I think they may have expanded. It might be more than 50 largest inner city school districts in the United States. So they always have interesting speakers. It could be anybody. So those are the three things around my immediate horizon that I booked. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do these. And COVID kind of changed the mix for me.
It changed the mix for a lot of us in the live event industry, my man.
We talked about that last couple of days, like, what events were those that didn't work?
So which events are left?
And I think a lot, again, I see was
there are a lot are coming back.
There's a lot coming back.
Beautiful.
People like the human interaction dynamic.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about certain types of virtual events, but hey, there is nothing like sitting down and interacting with your fellow human beings.
One of the things I akin a lot of these shows to, Mike, is Comic-Cons.
Yeah. Oh,
and I don't know if you've ever been to a Comic-Con,
I got to work one.
But like if you're a comic book nerd, there is a brotherhood there.
Oh, yeah.
There is a camaraderie, and there are crews of nerds that I know that, like, they got their homies that they hook up with whenever they go to Dallas Con, whenever they go to Dragon Con. Like, there are crews that get together.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's the story swapping and the sitting down and doing things. And that's what it is at Bigfoot Con, is the stories that people swap and the community that's there.
Yeah.
And when you're here, when you're at MUFON, a lot of the people are field investigators. So you're hearing a lot of scuttlebutt at tables about field investigative procedures and things like that. And here you're hearing about hits and targets and tasking.
And protocols, and
each one is its own little world and its own little community. And this would not be the same virtually. It wouldn't be.
No, it wouldn't.
I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't some great presentations out there. This is being sold virtually.
It could be, absolutely shared. But
the communal aspect, the being here with each other, for each other, and supporting each other in the task, in the tasking, and in the community is beyond all else. And that's what it's about.
And I am highly appreciative of the occasional hug I get here.
Same.
It's genuine, sincere, and warm.
It was nice for me my second
authentic,
year. My second year coming in, first year as a sponsor, how many people recognized me.
Yeah.
Oh, granted, I'm a 6 foot tall redhead that wears purple shirts.
Is that what color that is? What do you pay for that?
Yeah. Like my barber says.
I like the salt and pepper in it. Nice. Right?
But
I agree. It's, human dynamic. Come on, we are social.
Absolutely.
We have an obligation towards each other, ourselves, and our planet.
Yeah.
Come on, let's
steward each other.
Let's steward each other. It's getting late for me. I wish I really knew, or had the power bequeathed upon me. Just snap my fingers and make it all good for everybody. That's not going to happen. But a little kindness, a little compassion,
a little empathy,
a little love, a little empathy goes a long way.
Darn tootin', bud.
Namaste.
Hey, man. Thanks for coming on, man.
Brother, thank you. I hope this was worth your time.
One last time, look in the camera. Let everybody know where they can go to find your books.
Oh, I know where to go. No, hey, you can find me. I'm Michael Green.
Try to find me.
You can find. Yeah, you can try to find me. You can find me. Michael at That's MREVAK. Michael at mrevac.com is as good as any. If you like Lex Libris, LEXLIBRIS, law books, how I started. Lex Libris at earthlink.net. You can get to me that way too.
Cool. All right. Well, fantastic. While you're online checking out everything from Michael Green and his amazing bookstores and you think our knowledge vault is cool, folks, full of declassified government documents, things like that. Go check out his bookstore. Some of the books there are phenomenal. Like, you can get the entire printed out version of the Stargate
archives,
the Stargate archives with all the missing pages.
Not redacted.
Really,
that's
really
my
cool
understanding.
stuff.
That's a disclaimer. I didn't edit this stuff.
I haven't seen any black in any of those pages.
I could sell you a redacted edition.
Yeah, you should make one and sell it for more This
what I'm
is
thinking.
this was the preprint version.
You got a Sharpie I can borrow?
Yeah, it's purple.
All right.
While
With
you're
the purple,
online,
with the purple redaction.
that's right. While you're online checking out everything from Michael, folks, make sure to stop on by CuriousRealm.com. That is where you can find all the episodes. That's where you can like, subscribe. That's where you can leave a message. If you are a experiencer of the paranormal, if you have had a cryptid encounter, if you have had a UFO UAP encounter, if you have been abducted, if you're a government whistleblower and have evidence, we can take your images, video, phone call, whatever. Stop on by CuriousRealm.com/story. Fill out our form. We will leave it anonymous. We will bring it up on our show and present your case to our experts to try to get you some answers, folks. Stay tuned through this commercial break. We'll be right back with our continuing coverage of day 2 of the 2023 PSIfest here in Charlottesville, Virginia, from the International Remote Viewing Association and Monroe Institute. We'll be right back with you after this, folks.
Thanks for having me aboard.